On my watch, health care should be a right, not a privilege in this country.
U.S. President Joe Biden's administration unveiled its list of 10 costly prescription drugs that will be subject to the first ever price negotiations by Medicare.
Reducing the cost of these 10 additional drugs alone will help more than 9 million Americans.
So what are the drugs up for price negotiations? Reuters U.S. pharmaceutical correspondent Patrick Wingrove.
The 10 drugs that have been chosen for negotiation are Eliquis from Bristol Myers Squibb, Xarelto from J&J, both of those are blood thinners. Then you've got the diabetes drugs, so Jardiance from Boehringer Ingelheim, Januvia from Merck, Farxiga from AstraZeneca, and of course Novo Nordisk's insulin products. Then there's Imbruvica from AbbVie, that's a cancer drug, Stelara from Johnson & Johnson, Enbrel from Amgen, and of course Novartis's Entresto, which treats heart failure. It's kind of interesting that they chose to cover Stelara, which has got generic or biosimilars even coming onto the market for it in 2025. And then the fact that they chose Novo Nordisk's insulin to negotiate, even though the company pledged back in March to lower its products by, I think, around 70% or to $35 per vial, something along those lines. So it's going to become theoretically a lot cheaper, but they chose to do it anyway.
Big Pharma is charging Americans more than 3 times what they charge other countries, simply because they could.
Biden said that once the drug price negotiations between Big Pharma and Medicare are resolved, patients will start seeing savings.
Negotiations will happen over the next year, and the government will publish the new prices on September 1st, 2024. The very next steps will be drug makers have until October 1st to agree to participate in the talks, and then until October 2nd to hand over data that the government will then use to calculate its initial offer to those drug makers. And the minimum discount they'll negotiate will be 25% off the current list price. That's established under the law. It can't go any lower than that. But the government could negotiate much lower than that. So depending on how low it goes, it stands to save a lot of money through this. In fact, it could save and aims to save around $25 billion per year by 2031.
Prices settled on for these first 10 drugs will not go into effect until 2026, and several lawsuits have been filed seeking to derail the entire process.
So there have been 8 lawsuits filed against the program, 6 from drug makers and 2 from industry lobbyists. All are claiming that the law or the program is unconstitutional, and all wanting to get rid of it on that basis. There is also the possibility that Republicans could win the presidency in Congress next year, and the leadership in that party might choose to roll back the program.
If the program is successful, the process will begin again in February of 2025 when Medicare picks 15 more drugs for negotiations, with new prices on those going into effect in 2027.